Welcome, Karen, to the second edition of the Social Media Marvels. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you? Good to be here.
Nice. So, Karen, this week's topic that we decided to talk about was because you're a LinkedIn marketing expert, we thought about why not get some insights from the expert herself and talk about LinkedIn as a platform, because we have known LinkedIn to be the number one platform if you want to make professional connections, or if you want to look for a job, or if you are into HR or recruiting. That's what it's generally used for. But then, when did you start using LinkedIn as a platform?
Well, you know what? I mean, my background is relationship marketing years ago before social media. So, meeting people, keeping notes on them, getting to know them. So even when I started to teach digital marketing, I was drawn to LinkedIn because I liked the corporate aspect of it. I liked the fact that we could use it to build relationships and actually get to know people and actually have conversations with people. So and this was probably in like 2010, 2011. And what I found was I kept driving people back there. Like they would hire me and we would talk about their digital strategy in general, which I still do. But I found that they wanted to jump right to their business. Like, we have these products, we have these services. I'm like, people want to know more about you, right? This is the world we live in now. We're a little bit nosy, and we also want to know that we're working, that the people we're working with are worthy of the money we're investing in them, more than the products and services. So I was always bringing people back and said, we're going to start here on LinkedIn. So, eventually I started to niche my business down. Right now it's practically solely LinkedIn marketing. Of course, it doesn't work in a bubble, right? So we have to talk about other things sometimes. But I really focused on that because I think that, especially now, we're starting to see social media get more noisy. We're starting to see, and it's always been noisy, right? But we're starting to see backlash. Like, where's the money? I'm spending all this money on social media. Where's the ROI? So I think even on LinkedIn, I'm getting all this spam, right? I take it all the way back to, like, who's the one person that you think can really bring value to your business? And let's use LinkedIn to connect with and build a relationship, that one person, and then we'll do another one and another one, right? But we get to use these amazing digital tools that give us access to these people that we never had before. But I like to really still do it one relationship at a time.
So, but with LinkedIn, what I've observed personally is that the tonality is a little bit formal. So do you think that has evolved with LinkedIn being used as a social media platform now, or marketed as a social media platform, rather than just the recruiting or professional contact platform that it started off as?
You know what? I don't know that I would refer to it as more formal. I think that it's important that you are who you are. I have a podcast and we did an episode, I think it was episode 78-ish, called Your Vibe Attracts Your Tribe. Like, you have to be who you are. Don't try to talk like somebody you're not because you think this is what people want to hear from you. But also, it's not the place for the cat videos, right? You can build in a little human interest. So I think that, and that's a good thing because it's your personal brand. So I love building in some human interest. I love building in personality. But it is not the place where you're going to post the pictures from your kegger last night, your party the night before.
True. That is true. So, like you mentioned, LinkedIn is about building relations or connecting with people we didn't have access to before. So, how do you compare a brand or a person's LinkedIn profile, which is used for building one-on-one relations, to a Facebook profile where they want to interact with a community, with a group of people as a whole?
I think that they're just two different platforms and they both serve their purpose. On Facebook, which is something I think people really need to hear, your personal profile is your personal profile. It is not intended to be doing business on. Of course, listen, my business is such a big part of who I am, my podcast, the products and services. So of course I post on my personal page about that as well, but I also interact with people personally and, maybe post things about my family or things like that. But my business page, my Facebook business page, is where business happens. On LinkedIn, it's very similar. You have a personal profile and a company page. But on LinkedIn, your personal profile is designed to be talking about the brand of you, right? Versus the person of you. So I think that I still don't want you just talking about business, because if you're the person that is just talking about business and you're, and selling all the time, nobody's going to want to be connected to you. But I think it's more appropriate on LinkedIn to be sharing articles and stories and things, that, and maybe Facebook is a little bit more personal, right? So I think that we can look at them the same way, but just understand that the conversations are a little bit different.
True. So what is your one favorite feature with LinkedIn? Like one thing that you're happy that, it's on LinkedIn?
That's a hard question. My one favorite feature on LinkedIn, honestly, the one thing I love more than anything about LinkedIn is my ability to reach anybody there, right? So back when I first started marketing, when we learned sales, we learned about the gatekeeper, right? The person that answered the phone. You had to get past the gatekeeper. And there was the gatekeeper that answered the main number. And then you had to get past the gatekeeper that was the assistant to the CEO, right? With LinkedIn, there's no more gatekeepers. We can go right to the CEO. And if you're positioned properly, right? If you're positioned properly, that you look worthy of their time and their conversation, they may say, hey, Karen, nice to meet you. I love this idea. Do me a favor, reach out to Joe. He's the head of our marketing department, and, see what he thinks about this. Now, when you're calling Joe, you're not trying to get past his gatekeeper. You're saying, your boss told me to call you, right? So to me, that's the most powerful feature of LinkedIn.
That is nice. And if you could give one unique tactic that you have come across to boost somebody's brand or reach, what would that be for LinkedIn?
Yeah, I think that don't overlook video. Don't overlook video. And what's really important that you understand is it doesn't have to be, but it should be native video. So for example, if you do a video, like for my podcast, I do a podcast recap as a Facebook Live. And then I try to keep it under 10 minutes, so that way I can upload it to LinkedIn. I also upload it to YouTube. But if I drop that YouTube link in LinkedIn, it is not going to get anywhere near the amount of reach as it will if I take that exact same video and upload it as native video, right? So even though it might be one extra step, uploading native video on LinkedIn is incredibly powerful. And a lot of people may not know this. When you do that, you actually there's a little pencil there. If you click that pencil, it will allow you to upload an SRT file with the captions of the video. So people can stop, they can watch the video and read the captions. And that's all built into the LinkedIn platform. That is the best way to get eyes on your content. And, again, if you drop in a link to a blog post or a podcast or whatever, people are going to see it, but they have to click it. They have to go there. They have to listen to it. With the recap videos, I'm hopefully getting them excited. Like, you're not going to want to miss this, right? Like, around minute 2 or around minute 10, you're going to hear this, and you got to listen to hear it. So we're intriguing them, and I've got a lot better chance of them actually going over there and listening to the podcast or reading the blog or whatever than I did if I just dropped in the link to the content.
That is so true. So, like, we've spoken a lot about your podcast. I just want to know what was the idea being Good Girls Get Rich? I really love the name.
Yeah, it really stemmed from the work I do on LinkedIn because as I've already mentioned, one of the first things you need to do is create a strong positioning on LinkedIn. You have to tell the world how good you are. Nobody wants to do business with something that says they're pretty good at it, right? We all want to do business with the best in the industry. So you have to position yourself that way. You have to tell the world how good you are at it. And, if I'm working with you, I'm hopefully helping you find that place that you love to be, that you're not only, you're doing what you're good at doing, not just what you think will make you money, but what really brings passion to your life. So that's really what's behind my podcast, and that's really behind the title. When you create a business around what you're really good at, and you tell the world how good you are at it, that's where the abundance starts coming into your business, and that's where the abundance starts coming into your life.
True. That's nice. So you've also mentioned in some of your LinkedIn articles that it should be one of the stepping stones for a business or a person trying to create a brand, to start off with LinkedIn. Like create a good profile and create a good reach with your LinkedIn profile. So how can one go about that?
Well, there's a couple of interesting things. Like, listen, LinkedIn has a built-in gamification of this, right? It tells you if you have an all-star profile or not, which I love, but all that really means is that you filled in all the blanks, right? It doesn't really make your profile work for you. We start everybody because one of the things Up Level Media does is we write LinkedIn profiles, and we start everybody off with that positioning statement. And the positioning statement never really makes it to your LinkedIn profile, but it is about you and who you are. So who you are, who you help, how you help them, nobody does better than you, right? And then that's the place we start writing the profile from. But the second thing we do, again, before we've even put a word on your profile, is keyword research. What are people searching for on LinkedIn that you want to come up in those search results? And we pepper your LinkedIn profile with those keywords over and over and over, so that you're coming up for that. And those two things there are what start to make your profile work for you versus just filling in all the blanks. The last thing I'll say too is you want to make your profile, of course, it's about you. It's about you and all the wonderful things that you do. But you want to tell me about you, but you want to make it about me. I don't really care that you're the CEO. I care what you can do for me, right? So if you're a financial planner, you can say, I'm a financial planner and I help all these people and I make people lots of money. And that's great. There's a ton of you. If you say, I'm a financial planner and I help women over 50 create enough wealth to retire at 60, now you're telling me about you, but you're making it about me. And I look at that and go, I need to talk to that person, right? So that's really what I want you to think about. How do you write it that you're positioning yourself like a rock star, but you're also hooking me, right? And going, yeah, I need that. So that's a couple of things you want to think about while you're creating your profile.
Okay. And so now this was all about me as a person, but then I can grow my profile with mentioning about what I can do for somebody else. But then how do I make my business stand out as well? Because like you said, it's mostly for you're interacting with people, not the product. But at the same time, I also want people to know my name with my business's name as well.
You want to definitely have a call to action in your profile. And when you have that call to action, think about what you would do. Lots of people have interested, give me a call. Have you ever done that? Have you ever read somebody's profile and picked up the phone and said, I'm going to call you because you said to call you? Like, we just don't do that. We don't call people ever. We text them, right? So think about when you say that call to action, what you might do. Is there something that you give away that builds your email list? That might be an easy yes for somebody to take. Right? So think about how you can build your email list to it. Maybe you drive people to blog posts you've written, and then at the end of the blog post, you have a call to action that takes them to your email list, right? So think about user experience. What are people doing when they're on LinkedIn? What would you be doing if you're on LinkedIn? And see if you can get people to take that baby step towards taking, maybe getting on your email list, right? So that's one way you can start to build your business. You should certainly have a LinkedIn company page. LinkedIn company pages are making a little bit of a resurgence now because LinkedIn's starting to put some money and effort into them. They're bringing them to our attention more. So it's time to start creating content for your company page now, and then maybe sharing that content to your personal profile. So now you're putting stuff about your business on your company page, which is perfectly acceptable. Sharing it to your personal profile does two things. It introduces your company to people, but it also drives them to your company page, which there they can learn more about your products and services. And someday, if you decided you wanted to do some LinkedIn ads, you're starting to position that page to get ready for that with more followers.
True. Yeah. So you did mention about how uploading a native video on LinkedIn can reach way more people than uploading a YouTube link. So how important or how does the native content being uploaded at LinkedIn work? Is it similar to optimizing YouTube videos, or is there a different thing?
No, it's as simple as uploading a picture.
Okay.
It's as simple as uploading a picture. I mean, you literally click a button, instead of uploading a picture, you upload a video. And again, you have the option to then add the caption file. So you have to have that ready. It doesn't caption it for you. Okay. So you have to send it off to a service to get the captions done. But honestly, the videos on LinkedIn have to be under 10 minutes. So most of the caption services are $1 a minute, right? So for under $10, you can get the caption file for that video, which if you're strategic with this, should be worth that investment. And now you can, and then what are you putting in the comment? Is there anybody else in that video that you want to tag? Did you mention anybody else in that video? Tag them. Get you more visibility, right? And maybe use some hashtags in the post, because LinkedIn is really embracing hashtags now. So use some hashtags, tag other people, but don't do that. Like, don't tag me because I have a lot of followers if it makes no sense to tag me as it relates to the content, right? Because sometimes people do that. They just tag people and say, hey, you may want to see this. You can do that on occasion, but I know what you're doing and I don't love that, right? So be genuine when you're tagging people about the content.
So like you mentioned, LinkedIn ads. How effective are they in creating traction towards your website? Because Instagram and Facebook ads, people have heard of it and people have been utilizing it since a little longer. But with LinkedIn ads, I've never heard somebody utilizing that as a strategy as of yet.
Because it's expensive. Because if you're paying $2 a conversion on Facebook, you're probably paying $30 a conversion on LinkedIn. Yeah. So it is not double, it is 10 to 20 times the price. But done right and targeted to your high ticket programs, it can definitely, people on LinkedIn have the money, right? It's not as flooded with ads as Instagram and Facebook is. So it is it's a great marketing strategy, but understand that it's more expensive to make, because with any new strategy, you're going to make mistakes until you get it right. Yeah. So you have to have the budget to make those mistakes so that you can dial it in and get it right.
So LinkedIn ads is something that small businesses can't aim at, like on a solo level maybe?
No, they absolutely can. They absolutely can. But just know that you've got to have the budget. You've got to have the budget. Like where Facebook ads, you can say, I'm going to start messing with Facebook ads for $100 a month. With LinkedIn ads, you're probably going to need $1,000 a month, and that's probably going to last you 3 days. True. But you know what? You learn, and the next month you take that $1,000 and you take what you learned and you see if you can, and maybe once you make first hit on your 10,000 something, now, it makes it worth doing, right? Yeah. So.
And also maybe because LinkedIn users are also a little bit limited, LinkedIn is not as big as Facebook, but the leads that you get are pretty hot.
Exactly. And I've tracked it I do a weekly weekly live webinar, and I've tracked it. The leads that I get on LinkedIn through LinkedIn ads to my weekly webinar are ones that convert better than the ones I get on Facebook. So on Facebook, I'm building my list. Like on Facebook for my webinar, if I spend $100, I'm getting, 50 people maybe on my email list. That same $100 on LinkedIn, I'm maybe only getting 3 or 4 people on my email list, maybe not even, maybe 2 people. But those 2 people, one of them is more likely to be a buyer than the 50 that I'm getting on Facebook, right? So but it takes time. So you have to understand that you've got to have a budget and you've got to be willing to make the mistakes to do that. And there are some people like we don't do LinkedIn ads. But I have people I can refer people to, but they're, again, it's expensive because they know that it's going to take some time for them to get the process right. And they need to know you have the budget to do that. So, it's a little bit slower to get into LinkedIn ads, but once you get into it, it's very lucrative.
All right. And so like you said, so LinkedIn ads is to get cold leads or leads which we don't know. But the same concept lies with sending connection requests. Sometimes your profile doesn't have the right people for your niche. So how do you make cold requests more personal so that you do get connected with them?
This is one of my favorite topics. You do not need them. They do not need to be cold leads. If you mind the people that you already have in your network, not in your LinkedIn network. I mean, so here's the thing. Most people, I'm going to say almost everybody that's watching this right now is reactive to building their LinkedIn network. They accept connection requests when people send them. And as our visibility grows, we get more connection requests. So that's going to happen. And I want you to accept those. I'm not saying don't accept those. However, we don't know who those people are. So we can't really leverage it the way we'd like to leverage it. I want you to be proactive. But when I say proactively building your network, I am not talking about 100 or 200 or 300 people a week. I'm talking about 20 people a week. I'm talking about if you belong to a networking organization or a chamber of commerce or a business group, or you're going to an event, look, cherry pick. Okay, so let's use a chamber of commerce, for example. If you belong to a chamber of commerce, let's say they have 500 members of the chamber. Open that directory, right? Cherry pick, go through the directory, find a couple hundred people that you think could, and you can have your assistant do this, by the way. Like, and if you're using LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which I highly recommend, is the paid version, you can give them a tag. So go through it, tag people, and have somebody go through and give a tag, Princeton Regional Chamber of Commerce, to 200 or 100 people in that chamber that you want to target. You join the chamber to get more business, right? So cherry pick, instead of going to a meeting, and go to meetings, but instead of going to a meeting and not knowing who's there, find 100 people you want to cherry pick, and now go back to LinkedIn, and now you can do a search by that tag and connect with 20 of them a week. It's going to take you a month and a half, right? You've got 100 to 150 of them. It'll take you 2 months. And your message to them is, hey, we're both members of the Princeton Regional Chamber of Commerce. I was just at their event last week. I don't know if you were there. I loved this. Don't they do a good job at this? I'd love to connect with you here. My goal is to really get to know more people in this organization, in this chamber, right? People are going to accept that connection request. And it's a warm connection request. If you're going to a conference, I speak at a lot of conferences, and I must get in front of, tens of thousands of people a year at conferences. I must get 5 LinkedIn connection requests a year that say to me, hey, Karen, I'm going to the She Podcast Live conference, and I see you're going to be a speaker there. I'm really looking forward to seeing your talk. 5 a year of the tens of thousands of people that I speak in front of. So if you're going to a conference, right, pull up the LinkedIn profiles of the speakers, connect with them, tell them that you're looking forward to seeing their talk. Nobody's doing this, right? Now they're going to remember you, and maybe you can even have coffee or lunch with them, right? Maybe there's a Facebook group or a LinkedIn group for people that are going to that conference. They all have similar interests as you if they're going to the conference, right? So cherry pick again. Don't just connect with everybody. Look at their profiles. See who you think might be valuable. I'd much rather you take a little time, take an hour a week to do this, connect with 20 people a week in a very, very targeted way. You're going to see your business skyrocket because these people are going to want to get on the phone with you. And that's what grows our business, the phone calls. I love Twitter, right? And I love tweeting, and I've got a lot of Twitter followers, but it's people that I get on the phone with that buy from me, right? The Twitter people not buy my $50 programs. People I get on the phone with get in my masterminds and hire me for private strategy and have me come speak at their events, which maybe gets me 20 new clients, right? So that right there is going to grow your business. So most people look at LinkedIn, and right now we're all seeing it. We're getting spammed. And occasionally you're going to make a sale. So you're like, this works. But you're annoying the ever-living crap out of your network with all of these crazy messages. You're connected with a bunch of crazy people that don't know you and you don't know. That is so not the right way to do this. You think it is because occasionally you make a sale. Because if you throw enough spaghetti at the wall, eventually something's going to stick, right? But if you do it this way, 20 people a week in a highly targeted way, in my mastermind, I actually challenged them this week to connect with one person that you want to sell. One person, and I want that person to buy something from you within a month. Do you know what I mean? Like, spend time, dive deep. Like, who doesn't want to do, like, why wouldn't you want to do that, right? So as you can see, you pushed a button there with that. I think that I want to take back LinkedIn, from all the spammers and remind people that it's the relationships that are where the money is.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, even for me personally, if I'm trying to build my own personal brand, I gravitate more towards LinkedIn, wherein I can showcase my content as well. I can showcase what I'm currently doing or what I have achieved, and not sound full of clout or something like that, and not get lost in the world of spamming, because with Facebook and Instagram it's easy to get lost and people don't take you seriously over there either.
And I have tried that. I have tried, let me connect with 50 people a week, and I can't keep up with it. So why would anybody want to do that? Like, I've tried it. I'm like, I want to get this business. I connect with 50 people a week, and I can't keep up with it. And then when I can't keep up with it, I start dropping balls with people that might have hired me, right? But then I'm like, crap, I never called them back because they're doing too much. So dial it way down, and micro target on LinkedIn. And I'm telling you, you're going to be calling me going, why didn't I do this sooner?
So one of the benefits that I can see as a business or a personal brand is you can actually build a true blue connection. So it's not like Facebook, or it's not going to be like Twitter where you're just one of the followers or one of the likes. So what could be the other benefits of using LinkedIn as your primary source of branding?
Google. Google. We don't buy a paperclip without researching for reviews, right? So if somebody throws your name in a Google search, and they do, if they're going to buy something from you, they want to find out more about you, right? So yes, your website might come up, and if you do any work with PR or anything like that, maybe some other stuff comes up. But if you do you can tell the world what you want them to know about you by creating a strong LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn will come up. LinkedIn for me, I think, still comes up second when you throw my name in a Google search. I have like 10 pages on Google, right? But LinkedIn comes up second. So I can tell the world what I want them to know about me.
Okay. So as a recruiting agency, LinkedIn can be a business's armor, because that's where they find the people. But how would it help a marketing agency to build more business clients or get more?
The same way, right? The same way. First of all, a marketing agency should invest in the LinkedIn profile of everybody that works for them. I mean, all CEOs that are doing that are the ones that are understanding the modern marketing. Okay. Every person in your company should have a strong personal brand. So a CEO that invests in the personal brand of their employees is starting out with that. And then training the employees, from the person that parks the car, to the person that answers the phone, to the person that chases people for payments. If they're connecting, think about your payroll, your payment, your accounting department, right? If I know that if I have accounts receivable, right, and I know I have to make calls to collect money, but I'm connecting with these people on LinkedIn and building actual relationships with them, they're going to pay me sooner than they're going to pay someone else, right? True. So using LinkedIn as the underlying relationship builder throughout your entire company immediately builds the brand of your company and enhances the profitability of your company.
Okay. And so you would also suggest LinkedIn as a platform for retargeting or reselling, because now that a person has already built a connection with you or has bought from you beforehand, can you use?
Certainly I think that if you have existing clients, you should use LinkedIn to share their comment and promote them where you can, right? Provide value, because it really, beyond the profile and the connecting, the next step is your top of mind, right? How do you stay top of mind with your network? And part of that can be sharing and being of value to your existing clients, to your prospects, to potential partners. I love to talk about circle of influence marketing, right? Like, who has an audience full of people that might be good prospects for you, and making sure that you're providing value to them, not selling your stuff, promoting their stuff, right? Yep. And then also, which is something people overlook, is who in the media, what journalists talk about the kinds of things that you are an expert in. Are you connecting with them? Are you sharing their articles and tagging them and saying, love this articles by, at Susie, blah, blah, blah. And then Susie's going to be happy you did that. Now you've just brought yourself to her radar, right? You have a great profile talking about the things you do really well. So she, hopefully by building relationships with journalists like that, you can now, maybe they'll use you as a source, right? So that's really, the next step. And all marketing agencies should know how to do that. but it's really then about the top of mind campaigns beyond the profile and the connecting and getting on the phone and actually building relationships.
So apart from this, actually, there's this thing that I've never been able to understand: endorsements and recommendations that LinkedIn has. It's like a client testimonial sort of a thing. That's what I related to. But how effective does your profile look to somebody with hundreds of endorsements or maybe 5, 7 recommendations?
So two things. First of all, they are two different things. If you and I have worked together and you want to provide value to me, write me a recommendation. If you want to provide value, in fact, if you're listening to this and you love this interview, write us both a recommendation on LinkedIn, because that gives us value, right? That provides value. And I recommend that you write recommendations on LinkedIn for the people that you want to provide value to, right? To the people that, that you've worked with, to your clients, to the person that, your person that cut your hair, whatever, it doesn't have to be business related. Endorsements, I also think are very underutilized. It used to be that you were endorsed for things you don't do by people you don't know, and it didn't make any sense. But LinkedIn's getting better at it. First of all, you can now move your top 3 things you want to be known for to the top, okay? So people can see those things. Remember all the way back at the beginning of this interview when I talked about keywords? LinkedIn will see if you're endorsed 100, 200, 500 times for the same thing, okay? It's going to help bring your profile up in those searches. That is hugely valuable to you. So I recommend you go on an endorsing binge, because if you go on an endorsing binge, you're going to get a lot of endorsements. So be very generous with endorsements. Make sure that you have pulled the things you want to be known for to the top, because that's going to make it easy for people. They're just going to endorse you for those couple things, right? So make sure you bring that to the top first, and then endorse like crazy, because it's going to help you get more endorsements, which is going to help LinkedIn know to bring your profile to the top when people search for the kinds of things you do.
Okay, so like the LinkedIn Premium feature, it sort of works like a LinkedIn Premium feature if you don't have paid LinkedIn profile. Because
no, it's a free feature. It doesn't work like a premium feature at all. It is free. Everybody can do it. Everybody should do it. And it's so valuable. It's so valuable.
So if you had to share an untold story about you, be it a client story or a personal struggle or somebody that inspires you, could you share it with us? Something the internet doesn't know yet.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is, and it's so funny because I was just talking about this with somebody on my team yesterday, because we're writing some talks that I'm doing in the fall, and we're putting them together. And, I mentioned earlier that I did a podcast episode, Your Vibe Attracts Your Tribe. And I tend to, because I teach strategy, I'm good at strategy. But I also have this real right brain, left brain thing going. And I also am, I have a lot of, in my spare time, I'm trained as a Reiki master. I'm a trained dream coach. So I spend a lot of time understanding what's going on in your head and your heart and the energy around you. So I was like, I need to start to infuse that more in what I do, because that is a big part of, it always is a part of what you do, right? Because everything you do affects everything that you do. But we were talking a little bit about, I don't know if anybody listening here understands the whole concept of chakras. We were talking about, your third chakra, your sacral chakra, and your power. And that's really the place I want you to be in when you're writing your LinkedIn profile. I want you to be in your third chakra and really positioning yourself with that chakra and the third chakra energy as you're creating the power. So I'm trying to step more into that vibe, because it really is just a big part of who I am. It doesn't matter if if you get it or understand it or not, because the reality is the strategies I teach are still the same. But I think that what it does when you do those things is you attract more people to you that maybe think, wow, I didn't think there would be somebody that got me on LinkedIn, and she's going to get me, right? Versus somebody that maybe 5 people will come to you like that, then 1 you turn off. So I'm starting to step more into that. So you guys are going to see more about that in my world in the coming weeks and months, I think.
That's amazing. I mean, I've never thought about getting sort of like self help law of attraction things, but I started reading about it a couple of months ago, and I'm a skeptic when it comes to believing in God or a higher power or authority. But this simple logical explanation of what you give is what you get, what you sow is what you reap, is just, that was something really stuck by me.
Yes.
That was
And the
something.
state that you live in, right? The state that you live in. You live in a state of this moment in time, right? What's happening in this moment in time, not what happened last week and what's going to happen next week. What's happening in your life in this moment in time. That's kind of the state that I like to be in. And we can project what we want to happen, right? That's like your LinkedIn profile. I kind of refer to it as like, the old advice, dress for the job you want, not the job you have, right? So write your profile for the person you're stepping into. But that comes, you have to find the place inside of you first that it doesn't, I mean, it's hard to say. I'm going to say believes that, but sometimes we don't always believe it about ourselves, right? So how do we get from where we are now to believing that we really can be that person? So there's a lot of mindset work around a lot of that stuff too.
That's nice. So we've spoken about LinkedIn marketing, 2 chakras, and it was an amazing conversation that I had with you. Thank you so much for being a part of the social media marvels, and I hope that people get to interact and this reaches to a lot more people so that they can come back to you and ask you for more advice.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so great to be here.
Thank you. It was nice talking to you.